Here is a problem that has the nation's police officers beginning to work even more overtime.
This was the only thing that when I did it, I could not put it down.
The horror of crack cocaine is sweeping through neighborhoods everywhere. Tonight, angry citizens begin to strike back at their most threatening new neighbor. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of Town Meeting, Ken Craig.
Thank you. Large group, thank you very much. Welcome to Town Meeting. We are coming to you live from West Seattle tonight, not because the rock cocaine problem is any worse here, but because this community typifies what's happening everywhere, from Bremerton to Bellingham, Magnolia to Marysville. Criminals dealing dope next door to where you live, or next door to where your children are going to school. Now, who's buying this stuff? Well, people who would do just about anything to get the cash that will get them their next hit. And who are they selling it to? Or who are they dealing it to? It's a very addictive substance, this rock cocaine. There are people who would knock this woman down, steal her purse to get the money that is inside, or break into this guy's house to steal his TV, because that's how they get their money for rock cocaine. All you have to do is look at this stuff here. This is just a very small sampling of what was recovered recently in a raid on a rock cocaine house not too far from here. You've got stereos, VCRs, handguns, cameras, jewelry, sterling silver, anything that can be quickly turned into cash is fair game. And we, all of us, are becoming targets of opportunity for these people. Now, standing between us and them are people like the man I am about to introduce. He is an unorthodox, aggressive, and very effective Seattle police officer, frontline fighter in this war. Please join me in welcoming Seattle Police Sergeant Chuck Pillon. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
22 years on the Seattle Police Force.
Right.
What is it that has you judge, or do you judge, rock cocaine to be any worse than any of the other drug problems that we have dealt with over the course of the past 15, 20 years?
I think it's worse in every way you measure it. The magnitude of the problem in terms of people that are being seduced and using it, the impact on them personally. There's no safe lead time. Most people that begin to use rock cocaine are addicted within the first time or two that they use it. And the form of the addiction is insidious. It doesn't appear as soon as they are home that they have just done this and are in dire straits. They can carry on semblance of normalcy for a substantial period of time until the physical toll takes its the wear and tear shows up on them in that sense.
You've seen people who are using this. What are they like? I mean, do they freak out and just go crazy? What kind of an effect does this rock cocaine have?
Well, cocaine itself can have a kind of a spectrum of impact on the personality. They can become hyper, very aggressive. If they're lucky and they get the typical high, then they're not too hard to be around. Borderline psychotic states can be produced if the usage is intense enough. And of course, what really made cocaine and rock cocaine especially important to America, my quotes, is that notable persons started to die using it. So you can see the extreme of what's possible.
Just so that we understand what we are talking about, can you describe what rock cocaine is?
It's a nearly pure derivative of the powdered cocaine, what they call shake on the street corners of America, that is the typical American technology, making something better even if it makes them more miserable. Cocaine is taken in powder form and mixed with a quantity, usually about equal quantities of baking soda, and then boiled, simply boiled in water, alcohol, or actually those are the two mediums they use.
Why baking soda? I mean, is that...
Well, baking soda has the effect of precipitating out the impurities in liquid state, and then what precipitates out in solid form is a near pure granule of cocaine that looks for all the world, although some of them are much larger than the typical grain of salt, but that's about what it looks like. Now you have gotten rid of the shaft, so to speak, and you're right at the heart of the substance. and then rather than snort it through the nose or inject it, both of which take more time to get into the mainstream of your body, they fire these little rocks up with a propane or lighter or even a book of matches in a bong, a water pipe that cools the vaporous mixture down, and they inhale it. It's into their lungs and into their brain in moments.
Somebody told me that it takes, from the first time you inhale it, you can feel the effects of rock cocaine in 8 seconds. Does that sound about right?
I think a reasonable amount of time, yeah.
Who's using this stuff?
Who isn't?
Everybody?
It's interesting to see that people here in West Seattle, for instance, have that sense of it. Cocaine came on the scene some years ago, another time in America, and was glamorized as the cost-free drug of the yuppies and all like that. So it's had a lot of casual presence. Everyone thinks cocaine is cool. Suddenly this forum comes along and it starts to play to that marketplace. It isn't the drug, it isn't the form of abuse of cocaine everywhere yet that is the preferred one, but it will be before long. Everywhere that they're doing cocaine, they'll go to rock because the high is that much more intensive.
Why is it that there is such a close public association with rock cocaine and violence and burglary and other crimes? Is rock cocaine responsible for more criminal activity than is given credit for, or are we overstating the situation some?
No, I don't think we are. I think that the spinoff, the effect of cocaine abuse is that you have a functional crook. The guy that does a couple of grams of heroin a week typically fires his heroin and then nods off, goes out and steals a little bit, more or less, and gets his next package of heroin, and then once again is slumped off in the backseat of somebody's car or in their living room or something such as that. The cocaine high is addictive in the sense that it creates a dynamic. Everybody's up and running with their cocaine high. So they'll do a couple of VCRs and a TV set somewhere in the morning time out of a burglary, and by mid-afternoon they're back looking for another place to rip.
How about somebody here? How would you react to find out that, stand up for a sec here. What would you do if you found out the person next door to you was running a rock cocaine house?
I'd report him right away. I think it's the least I could do. We know that the effects of rock cocaine, and I think the sergeant has done a very good job in explaining some of the effects of it. And we in the black community certainly know what it does in terms of economics and all of the other ancillary things that go along with the use of cocaine. Our kids are taking this stuff and are not doing well in schools. The houses are being burglarized. Some of the older people saying that they don't feel safe leaving the homes in the evening, and they sit right in the homes and see other people's homes burglarized.
Do you feel safe? Do you feel safe right now?
I feel perfectly safe, but I've got the police sergeant up there right in front of me, a few feet away from me, but that's not always the case.
I didn't mean this particular instant. I think we all feel pretty safe right now. But I mean, I'm saying in general, in the community that you live, in the neighborhood, do you feel safe there? Do you feel protected? Do you feel secure from being isolated from this problem, or do you feel it's part of your life?
I feel terribly insecure, in so much as that I know that there's a rock house a few doors down from me. And I know that, you know, the neighbors have reported it, and absolutely, well, very little has been done about it, I guess because of some of the things that's involved in it, and I think I understand some of those things.
Give me a show of hands, folks here, if anyone here has seen or heard of rock cocaine being sold in school or in your neighborhood. Show of hands, show of hands. Where have you heard about it?
All over.
Stand up. Have you seen this kind of activity taking place, say, in your neighborhood?
Yeah.
In your school? Do you go to school?
No.
Okay, but in your neighborhood. Where do you live?
I'm in a treatment center right now.
Okay, but you did, in the neighborhood that you lived in, you saw a lot of activity revolving around rock cocaine?
Uh-huh. Any kind of drug. You know, it's all over.
It's insidious, Sergeant Pillon. Is it?
Exactly, exactly.
Well, are people so afraid that they're just immobilized by their fear?
Well, we deal in the unit that I'm in with neighbors around these places constantly, and the sense of fear that they have is is a constant in their lives, that they can't let their kids out the door. Some of the places we've raided, that they had trained guard dogs kept around in unfenced yards to discourage the police or anyone else from being around. The crooks take guns, as you can see, in trade, and very often when they're loaded up, they go out in the backyard and test the new artillery to make sure it works. They have wars amongst themselves in these places, and the stray bullets certainly are a danger to citizenry. So fear is just a footnote to this.
Very quickly, what do you say to the people who are sitting out there right now going, not my neighborhood, maybe someone else's, but not mine. Not my kids, not my neighborhood school. Real quickly, what do you say to those folks?
Don't choke on the sand. That's where you put your head, because it's coming. Cocaine's coming through. There's no two ways about it.
All right, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will meet the former head of the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency, who says that Seattle is one of the crack capitals of the United States. Stay with us. We will be right back.